I enjoy coding because it is very interesting subject.
I like coding very much because it is very interesting.
We are being taught coding at Hulsanani High School by teacher Sampada Lokar.
Which is create like me, create like us, create like a child.
My slogan. Each one code one. Give me a problem.
Madam Pokre.
Hi, my name is Kaushiki Nagaraj Prabhu Borkar.
My name is Aditya Suresh Param.
I enjoy coding because it is very interesting subject.
I like coding very much because it is very interesting.
We are being taught coding at Hulsanani High School by teacher Sampada Lokar. Her explanation helps me understand the concepts really.
I use both the Hi, my name is Nidhi at Madam Pokre.
Hi, my name is Kaushiki Nagaraj Prabhu Borkar.
My name is Aditya Suresh Param.
I enjoy coding because it is very interesting subject.
I like coding very much because it is very interesting.
We are being taught coding at Hulsanani High School by teacher Sampada Lokar. Her explanation helps me understand the concepts really.
I use both the applications Scratch and Pictoblocks. Presently, I am learning through internet about COVID care for my project.
I want to know how these websites, softwares and apps work. That inspires me to learn coding and to create my own project.
I have made a slogan for coding, which is create like me, create like us, create like a child.
My slogan. Each one code one. Give me a problem, I will code to solve it.
As I participated in Lenten competition, but I have not won prize. So this time I want to know what is the correct practice to write a code.
Please like, share and subscribe to the channel.
Hello, students, and hello to all the teachers. We are going to start today's session, and thanks for participating in today's session as well. It's nice to see all of you here, and I could possibly go through all the chats that are coming up. It's always interesting. We somehow get to know many new games that we never played before. It's very interesting to read. We'll start by actually going over what we did yesterday quickly, and today we'll try and focus some of the questions that we had yesterday. But to start with, maybe if I could go over the questions, some of the questions that we came up yesterday. There was one interesting comment that we got: why we are not using loops? Justice for loops. It's this is the creativity we definitely like. There is a creativity in asking the question also. There's a hashtag in the question. Justice for loops, and it's a very valid and an interesting question, why we are not talking about loops, and for various different reasons, right, which are there. One of the main thing which loops sometimes tend to do is, though it appears simple, they complicate a lot of stuff. And at the same time, recursion allows you to visualize them in a very, very simple way. So let's take a brief example of what that would mean. I'm having a code over here. It's a very simple code, right? As you can see, it's a very, very simple code. I just zoomed it up a bit as well. It's a very simple code. It's a pattern. It's a very familiar pattern that you could say. It's basically recursions out over here. There are no loops in practice. And if I try and run this code, just take a look at the output and do let me know if you like the output. All right. This is the output. In the chat window, do let me know if you like the output. This code over here draws this tree. Right. And it's very simple. I can get different patterns based on the input that I give. So let's say if I say 1, I get this. Right. If I say 2, I get this. If I say 3, this is what I get, right? And so on. Like, if I can continue to say 4, I get this. And I can keep increasing this. And as soon as I start giving higher and higher number, you start to notice that, it is forming the leaves. And with more and more numbers, it is forming a even different structure. Let me show another program, absolutely similar structure. Let me try and find it out over here. Okay. Again, a very similar structure as to what we had seen just now. But if I run this, it forms a very different kind of a tree. There you go. And again, this is based on recursions. You can, in fact, do this using some form of loops also. But that turns out to be a lot trickier, because then you have to use multiple different operations like cloning. Then you have to use many different variables, etc. And here you can do that without having to assign all those variables. So if you see in the code, there is no set variable, there is no set the value to something. It's just a direct use of inputs within the blocks. You are anyways using blocks. What do blocks give you? Blocks allow you to define a name. Your code becomes readable. I know that at the end of the day, end of this structure, there is a tree. And if I don't want tree to be shown, I just need to remove this code and it will not render it, right? So that's exactly what it tells me. The more and more complex graphics that you would end up drawing, this is what is going to help you to simplify it. And again, as such, I can start with some very simple value. 1, it's just a branch. I can maybe try with some higher number. 4, it's like tree growing, right? You can actually see that it's a tree growing structure. So I can animate this structure as I go along. And I get to see a bigger tree as we go along. right? And with something like a number 12, I get a fully grown up tree. So as you continue practicing using recursions instead of loops, you will get to know this better. Let me show another thing which came into the pattern. There was one question about asking how do we draw a rectangle? So let me quickly try that out over here before we start our today's session. So let me, how do we start? We always start by putting a flag click head, and then, we put erase all, we say pen up. We would like to go for 0, and point in direction 90. Everything up till now is very common, right? I'll also say pen down. This is quite common, isn't it? Is my voice audible? Is my voice audible here? Please respond in the chat. Is this audible? Okay, great. So let's draw a rectangle now. I'll make a block. Now, what's interesting about a rectangle is, let me try and do it on the graph paper. This is how the rectangle appears. Let me share the screen. Right? If you can see it here, let me quickly draw segment. So a rectangle, unlike anything, is having one side longer and another side which is shorter. So unlike square, so this is what it is, right? Sorry, right? And now remaining two sides are parallel. So this is quite parallel. Sorry, need a parallel line. So it's essentially like this now. I need another parallel line, and this is what I get. Here. So this is like a rectangle, right? I've just drawn rectangle. And what you see over here is there is this one side which is longer, and then there is another side which is shorter. So we can call this length and height. Correct? So in case of a square, length and the height remains the same. And this is where it tends to look as if we are drawing a different shape, but it is not. So when we are trying to use recursion, this is what we can easily do. So I'm going to make a block and I'm going to call it a rectangle. Rectangle, right? And I'm going to take two inputs. Obviously, I need two inputs. And because it is a recursion of a fixed size, I need another third input, which is steps. So I need length, height, and what should be the other one? Steps, correct? And once this is done, let's start drawing our shape. We need to put in our existing structure, right? Let me zoom this up a bit so you can see it better. Oh, am I not sharing the screen? Okay. So what I just did is I created a new block. And in the new block, I have given it three inputs: length, height, and steps. Right? Steps, because it is a recursion which needs to stop. I need to do it 4 times. That's why there is steps out there. Right? Just a minute.
Okay, काम कर लेते ना. So
there is a disturbance. Sorry for that. Yeah, I think we are good now. So what we need to do next is let's draw this rectangle, and it's a common structure. Okay, so we need to use an operator. Can the just requesting all the participants to please stay on mute. Thank you. And now we need an operator. The operator in this case is again, if this is equal to 0, then we don't do anything. So if steps is equal to 0, then we don't do anything. And then it's a very common pattern, right? We are going to say move length, right? And then we are going to turn by 90. So how are we going to handle height then? Is a question, isn't it? How do we handle height? Should I again put move height? We can do that. That's one way, right? But I don't want to do that. I want to make this code look very similar to the code that drew rectangle yesterday. If you remember, I want to keep it very similar. It had only 2 steps, like move and turn, and then there was a recursive call, but we still want to handle our height. How do we do that, right? So the trick is, how do you imagine this? And that is the power of recursion. Recursion allows you to reimagine the problem. Let me again share the screen and show you the graph paper. How do you visualize this, right? You start from here. When you start from this point and try to go this side, you are actually moving the length part. And then you switch the side. Then you draw the height part. Then you draw again the length part. And then you again draw the height part. That's how you draw a rectangle, correct? So going back to our Scratch window, if we see length and height, we can see this as if what we want to draw first, what we want to draw next. There's length and height. We want to draw length first, then the height first. So that means I can reorder this or swap this when I'm going to call it again. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say rectangle. Now, first I want to draw height because I've already drawn the length, right? And after that, I would like to again go for drawing the length. So I'm swapping it. In the first case, we started with length and the height. Now I'm drawing height and the length, the second part. And finally, I'm going to say operators, and it's steps minus 1, like 1 step lesser. And let's call it down here and let us see whether it draws the rectangle for us or not, right? So I want to have this as 150. I want to have my height as 80 and steps is 4, right? And there you go. It's a rectangle with a code of just 3 lines that looks exactly like as if it's a square. I can very well make it a square. I can just call it 150 here. And it becomes a square. It's not different code anymore. It's just if you've drawn your square using recursions, it's absolutely similar to drawing a square. You just need to swap the 2 inputs, and that's how it works. If this was to be drawn without using loops, you had to either put here 1 more move and rotate step to include the breadth, and then repeat this whole thing twice. So the code essentially changes now. It does not look like you're reusing the pattern. And if you still want to do this, you had to now go and introduce 2 different variables, continue swapping them. That itself becomes a logic on its own. So you've just simplified the code by using recursions instead of loops. And this is what would help you going forward as well. Just keep practicing. It's a very interesting concept that you are learning as part of this course. And that will help you drawing a lot of complex patterns and simplifying a lot of complex patterns as you go forward. All right. So going back, let me go back to today's topic. But before that, let's quickly see what other questions do we have. Sir, can you make an animated character by Prakash Nair? Yes, we can. I think in the very first session, very first day of this series, my teacher had shown you an example of how to go about doing it. So you can try doing that. There are different ways of doing it. Either you can create one sprite with different costumes and run after those different costumes, or you can create one sprite for the body, one sprite for the hand, and then rotate the hand and move the body as you go along. There is another question by Dhananand. how to use sound. Sound is again, there is a video which is already uploaded that is talking about how to use sound. You can refer to that. It's available in the channel. Maybe we can put a link also in the description later. How to rotate shapes in Scratch? That's a very good question. So if you are following a shape that does clean slate, as we are discussing before, you just need to rotate the sprite before you draw the block and it will draw it. So in this case, let me go back. I hope you can still see the screen. If I'll make this a little smaller, 50 by 50, right? It's a small rectangle, square now. And if I want to rotate this, because I'm following a clean slate, because it is coming back to the same shape every time, I can very well rotate before I draw my rectangle and it will work. So now it will, if you see, it's just rotated a shape. So that's why clean slate concept is very important. There's a question by Uttam. I can make my own block on PictoBlocks. Yes, PictoBlocks and Scratch in terms of interface and everything is absolutely similar. You make your block just like we did just now. There's a question by Ruby, how to upload the Scratch competition project after doing the project and when is the last date of submission? How to upload the project will be taken up in the upcoming sessions. So watch out for that. And as a reminder, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends as well. There's a question up, if I can see. Can we use extensions like machine learning in PictoBlocks for the competitions? It's by Prajakta. So for the competitions, which is currently available, there is no machine learning required. So you don't need to use it. What if we input a bigger number in the green tree pattern and blue tree pattern showed in the beginning? I mean, as you continue putting in bigger and bigger numbers, the tree will appear to grow. It will become denser and will continue to look beautiful. There is a question by Shobha Talwar. Can you, sir, can you show some example of COVID shape? Yes, that's also some ideas for the COVID shapes will definitely be discussed. So keep looking out. There is a question by Hansraj, how to use more than one shape in one project only. Obviously, it's very simple. I can keep drawing different blocks, and you will see one example right now. That is the part of the today's session. We'll be drawing a house, and we'll use different shapes. How to make 10-sided figure? Do you mean a 10-sided shape or 10-sided polygon? If that is your question, that was discussed yesterday. How can we use extensions like machine learning in PictoBlocks for the competition? So Sanjana, we don't need to use machine learning blocks for the competition as of now. And if you want to know that, that will be covered in some later, not as part of this series, but some future topics. Why do we use broadcast? That's a valid question. We would answer in further sessions because it's not related to us right now. Can we do the same thing in PictoBlocks? Yes, Johan, you can do the same thing in PictoBlocks. Great. So keep sending your questions and we'll keep answering them as much as we can. If we couldn't answer some of your questions, please excuse us because there are a lot of questions that are coming across. We'll try our best to answer it either today or in the upcoming session. But for now, let's go back and address today's session. So let's draw a house. Who wants to draw a house? Yes, I want to draw a house. Give a shout out if you want to draw a house. Right. Okay. Oops. So we don't need this. We need something like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw my house on a graph paper. I'm using it on the computer. Feel free to do it on actual graph paper. It's very easy if you are doing it on a graph paper. You can use pencil, graph paper, rubber, ruler, and a protector. That will help you. So what is house made up of? It is made up of different lines, right? Those lines come together and make various shapes. So let me start drawing those line segments. So let me start from this point. This is my first line over here. Then another line segment. excuse me with the drawing. Maybe I'm not as good as you all in the drawing. Then from this point, sorry, in another segment starting from this point, maybe something like this. So not from this point. So we, yep, from this point to this point, yep, like this. Now let me create a parallel line for this and place it somewhere like here, right? Then another line between this point to this point. Sorry, not a line. So big line, I just need a segment. Between this point to this point, yes, I got my line. Maybe another line, which you can put later. But right now, I need another segment because I want to complete a roof. So from here to maybe something like here. And then again, parallel lines going forward. So parallel lines, let's pull this here and put it here. Not there, sorry. Yeah, here. Then again, another parallel line from here, we go here. And let's draw something very similar, another parallel line. So it's parallel line going from here till here. And then we just connect it with a vertical line. So over here, another line segment and starting point. And that could be a point here. Oops, sorry. Segment, start from here and here. Okay. So very similar to a house, right? Very bad drawing though, but it gives us a shape. You can draw a window here, something like that. And what I'm going to do now is I need to draw them one by one. So how do we go about drawing them? Let's figure out how do we draw the first triangle out there. What is the length of it? What is the angle of it? So let's start with that. So we say the front roof. So I'm going to remove this up, or we can keep this below. We may not need this, but for now, I'll just keep this here. We need the front roof part, so I'll not use this. Let's create a block for the front roof. Front roof. Oh, sorry. Yeah, now you should see my screen. So I'm calling it a front roof. How is the front roof drawn? Let's clear everything. This is no longer required. So yeah, we are in our clean slate now. Front roof. Let's go back and note all our values, and you can see what we are trying to look at. Okay. We are going to start drawing from this side, right? Let's try and draw this part first, and then we turn and draw this part, right? So how do we go about doing that? Let's say we want to know what is the gap between those two values, right? So I want to know the angles. For that, let me actually take this separate. You can actually separate those out. Sorry. I want to know this angle here. And how do I know an angle? Is I can say, looks like I'll need to delete one of the line, which is not required there. Okay, I just created a problem with my drawing. Okay, this is good. Now, how do we know angles? How do we find out the angles? Is we use compass like this, right? So let me switch off all the snapping options. Let me go over here. And what will happen is I'll first need to know what is this angle here. If I'm starting from this point, what is the angle I'm going to take, right? So this is the part, and then I'm going to say Okay. Yeah. What is this angle? And that angle, as you can see, is 57 degrees. Right? So we need to turn by 57 degrees to start with. So let's quickly do that. Let's say, new share. Let's go back to our Scratch window. We need to turn by 57 degrees. So turn left by 57 degrees. Okay. And let's also start drawing it over here as we are going about it. Let's put it here. So it's just drawn 57 degrees. Now, once that is done, I need to know the length, correct? So let's quickly go to share and watch the graph paper again. I now need to know the length of this line. So I'll say show length, and it is telling me 13.4. So essentially everything in Scratch is multiples of this. So where you see 20, it's actually 200. So 13.04 is 130 for me. So I'll say move 130. Move 130. Right? So we just got our first length out there. And I think I should actually move it leftwards a bit, but let us draw this first and then let's move the whole shape towards the left. Because as you can see in the Scratch, as you can see in the Scratch, wrong window. Because as you can see here, it's not directly at the center, it's somewhat towards left of the center, right? So how much is it left of the center is that we will see later. But what is our next angle that we need to deal with? Let's bring it down to this point, right? And now what is happening is it's rotated this way, right? It's sort of facing it this way. And what we need to do after this is by how much do we need to rotate to face this side? What is this angle that we need to do? And it's rather the exterior angle that we now need to take. That's why I said it's actually easier with the real protector. So as you can see, I need to take full 180 plus 119. How much is that? I need to take a full 180 turn because what I need to do is, oops, sorry, this is not very easy to do it on a hardware device. So yeah, 180 and 117. How much is 180 plus 117? You can use a calculator to do that. And it is 297. And we need to do the exact same length after that. So 297, rotate right by 297. And then we will say move same 130 steps. So that didn't go right. So maybe I'll just say minus. Where is this facing when this happens? Okay, so it's facing downwards. Oh, so then it is 117. Sorry. That's my bad. 117. Yes. Now we have our first part of the roof. Correct? So let's place this a little further from where we have started. Maybe I move this whole image before we start drawing this towards the left of it. How do I do that? I'll just say move maybe by minus 100 steps. Okay. And this move is not required. I should say pen down after this. And this is how it would be. Yes. Now we have a proper shape, right? We just did front row. And now we need to do the bottom part. So again, for the bottom part, we know one thing. We know that, what do we know? Let me share my screen again, the graph paper. We know a few things like this line is similar to this line, right? And we know that this angle is 90 degrees because there is obviously a rectangle, something like a rectangle, right? So we just need to know the length now. What is the length of this line that we need to see? It's 8.43, so essentially 84. What is the length of this line? And that would be, let's quickly see. It's 12, so 120. So 84 and 120. So we need to draw this. Let's quickly draw the front wall. So we need another block and we need to call it a front wall. But again, in order to do this, right, we need to first always get into a mode of doing a clean slate, correct? How do we do a clean slate? So essentially, once I've done this, if I want to do a clean slate, I have to always come back where I have started. So one simplest way to do that is either I can do this or I can ask the front group itself to draw rest of the part, but I don't want to do that. So let's do the whole thing in reverse. So I'll now say move. I did 130, right? So I'll say pen up. I'll say pen up because I just want to go back reverse. I'll say move up by saying minus 130 and then turn left here. Exact opposite of what I've done before. So follow the steps backwards. 117. Then move in reverse. So I'll say move. I did 130, right? So I'll say 10. Can participants go on mute, please?
Sir, we can see your graph page.
I think. Okay. Sorry. So I'm just doing the same steps again. But in a reverse way. So I did move 130 steps. So I'm doing negative of it. I said turn right by 117. So I'm doing turn left by 117. Now it's move 130 steps. So I'm going to do move minus 130 steps. And then finally it was turn right by 57 degrees. So I'll say turn left by 57 degrees. Right? And what does this give me? If you see, it gives me a clean slate there. It's already watching in the direction that I wanted. Correct? Just one thing, this point in direction. Oh, sorry, it's not 57. That's why it didn't work properly. It's starting at 57, ending at 57. So yes, it's now 90 degrees. So I am where I am. Let me reduce the size a bit, maybe saying 2 or 5, or rather 10, right? So from this point, I can easily draw the rest of the parts. So how do I draw rest of the parts? Is very similar. So from where I have started, after this, I need to draw my body. And I don't need to refer to the graph paper right now. You can still use it. I already know the length. Remember, if we have just seen it some time back, the length of the wall, the height of the wall was 84 and the width of the wall was 120. So let's quickly do that. To do that, we need to first move it a bit upwards, maybe by some value. Let's quickly figure that out. I'll make this size a little bigger, maybe 20. Okay, this looks better. So now what we need to do is main wall. So let's create a block and let's call it main wall. All right, main wall. To do main wall, we again need to go up a bit. How do we go up from the point where we are? How did we went up first? We turned 57 and moved 130 steps, right? We did not do that again. We just now say from wherever we are, we just go a bit upwards, but we have to turn by 57 degrees. It's the same angle, right? We have to trace the same path again. And to do that, we have to use the same angle. We have to move it by 57 degrees and then move a little step upwards. So how? Let's quickly go here and say, we start by turning left, same step, 57 degrees. And once we do that, what is it that we need to do? We need to climb up a little. So move. By how much should we move? It's a very small distance, right? It need not be the whole 130. So let's move by maybe 15. Let us see where it goes. So turn left. Oh, we have not called it, right? So main wall. Let's go to the block and say main wall. Oh, it went a bit too high. So not maybe 10. So this looks absolutely right for me. Move 10 steps, and then I need to do two things. I need to first face right and then straight down. So I'll do it in 2 steps. You can also add all the angles and do it together. So I'll say turn right by 57, same angle as what we started first. So it's again facing right. And then I'm going to say, sorry, turn right by another 90 degrees. Right? Turn right by another 90 degrees. So it will face right down. And now I'll say pen down. I'll say pen down because I need to draw my line. I'll say pen down and move those. Let me refer to the sketch again. 84 steps. So motion, move, 84. Yes. If you see, we are just building a nice house here. Again, turn left by 90. So it's facing the other direction. And the width is 120. 120. There you go. Again, turn left by 90. Like this. And what we would do next is again go up by 120. That's the height of the wall, right? So we go up by 120. Move 120. Right? So why did it go a bit higher? Sorry, it was 84 because it is not the width, it's the height. Yes. Does it look proper now? A bit, right? So that's good enough for us. There's always going to be a bit of lag, but maybe we can make it 85 and it will look right. 86, I think. 87. And do some trial and errors there. Or 88. So I'm happy with this. All right. Next, again, exact opposite of this. So we had done pen down. So let us do pen up. And let's actually reverse these steps now. So how do we reverse it out? How do we reverse these whole steps? Is we follow whatever we did in the reverse way. So we did move 88. So we'll say now move minus 88. Now there was turn right. So we will say turn left by 90. Then there is move 120. So we'll say move minus 120. Then there was turn left by 90. We'll say turn right by 90. Then move 84. So we'll say move minus 84. Then again, turn right 90. We'll say turn left 90. So move. Sorry, there was turn right 90, right? And turn right 57. So exact opposite will do. Turn right. Sorry, turn left. Turn left 90 and turn left 57. Right? So it's here. And finally, we will need to get it down. By saying we said move 10 steps, we'll say move minus 10 steps. And whatever was turn left of opposite, whatever is the opposite of turn left 57, we'll do that. So move minus 10 steps and then move right. Move right by 57. 57. So we are having our clean slate now. Now you may wonder, why did we do all this? Like, why didn't we just take the coordinate where it was started and move to that coordinate? Because now we can do something very, very important, right? Wherever I start with. So maybe I start with, let's say I want to draw it here from this point, right? I can do that. So I'll say, go to that point and draw it for me. And it will draw it from me from that point, right? I may say, oh, no, not there. I want to start it from here, or rather here, right? And I can say, go to that point, put my blocks there, and it draws it from there. This is the clean slate. If you're drawn the clean slate properly, I can move this, move the sprite anywhere and draw it as many times as I want. Like, for example, if I want to draw multiple shapes, that was one of the questions now, right? What do I do if I want to draw multiple shapes? It's very simple, and we can do it right here. So the next shape I want to draw is from here. So what do? I say, go to that point, and then again, repeat the whole thing. See, I just got another house there, and I can keep placing multiple houses wherever I want. So maybe that is not the point I wanted. Maybe I wanted it slightly here. So it's minus 43 and minus 20. So minus 43 and minus 20 there. Now I'll draw one more house here. From this point, it is 106 and 2 for X and Y, right? It's 106 and 2. I remember the point. And I just did 3 drawings, right? So I tried to draw one house, and now I am getting 3 houses from just that one structure, because I followed the principles of clean slate here, right? So since we have done that, let's quickly maybe try and draw a circle. Should we and make a sun out of it, and we could sort of end it there. So how do we draw sun? Is we are going to say, make a block, and we did that yesterday, right? How did we draw a circle? How did we draw a circle? It had a radius and it had steps, right? So radius and steps. Let's quickly do that over here. Let me scroll a bit. And those who didn't see it yesterday can watch it now. I'm going to say operators, sorry, control structure here. If operators steps is equal to 0, I'll not do anything. Otherwise, I'll move the radius steps. I'll move the radius steps, right? And then I'll come back as well. But before that, I need to do a pen down. But pen down, I'll do outside. So move, then again move. Let's say by how much? Same value, the negative of that. 0 minus radius. That is the clean slate. So you went somewhere, you came back, and now you would rotate it. Turn right by 1 degree. Correct? So this gives you a circle. And if I do it, let's say if I move my cat somewhere here, this sprite somewhere here. Right? If I move my sprite somewhere here, and say pen down, let's say go to pen, say pen down. I need to ensure that I've done pen up before that as also, not pen down before I move to that point. Go to that point, right? Now say pen down, change the pen color. What should the pen color be? It should be yellow, right? So we don't have a yellow here. Oh, maybe we had. So what I'll do is I'll make this cat a bit bigger, and I'll say pick the color of a cat. We'll use that to draw sun. And now let's say circle, radius of, let's say 10, and this value is 360. Sorry, not 36, 360. Now what is happening there? So again, we have to reset the pen color up. before we start doing anything. Here, this should be black. This can be black. But our circle, oh, the reason why circle is not completing is because we have not completed our recursion. So circle, radius stays the same, but the steps reduced by 1, right? So steps reduced by 1. And it's actually drawing a sun for us. Let's see once it finishes drawing, or I can edit it and say run it without a refresh. Ah, we have a nice sun there. Can everyone see it? We can actually make it a bit bigger, right? It's too small for a sun. Let's say maybe 20. And this time it will draw it quickly for us. Yeah. But that's not what the sun is, right? We also need to show those like rays kind of things. Now I can either draw another circle to make this happen, or I can reuse this same code to make that happen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to define how many times I'm going to decrement it. So the simplest thing, you can actually do this, or you can edit this. I don't want to create confusion, so I'll create a new block. Just keep the structure same. We can do all the engineering on it later. But let's go to my blocks and say sun rays, right? Add an input, radius. We need count, snaps, we can say. I think that's good enough for us. So sun rays, we have a sun rays here. Let's keep the same structure. Go to operators. If steps is equal to 0, we do nothing, right? And then whatever we did here applies there as well. So let me duplicate that, move it here. Only this is the block which we'll need to change. So instead of this, we'll say sun rays, radius and steps -1, but not exactly -1. So because it's not going to be complete, right? Those are like rays. So even though we are going to say 360, maybe I don't want to rotate it by 20, like 1 degree. I may rotate it by, let's say, 45 degrees. So if you are rotating it by 45 degrees, how many what should be our, how many steps we will need? How many times should we decrement the steps of 360? 360 divided by 45 is 8, right? So essentially we would say steps minus, in this case, 45 as well. Steps minus 45. So that will take care of it. Let's quickly do this, and let's use the same circle wherever we are. Let's go to the blocks. Say sun rays. Now the radius is going to increase a bit. So maybe I can make it 50. And this value is going to be 360 as usual. And there you go. It's our sun rays. Should we make it smaller? Maybe 30. Yeah, I think that looks more like a sun now. Or we can increase it further, right? We can say turn by 30, or maybe turn by 20 and decrement it here by 20. Yeah, more like sun now. So isn't this quite interesting to see? Maybe I can move this point and draw a crow as well. We're just drawing a scenery. We have already drawn the circle, and drawing a crow involves drawing an arc. Maybe we can take it up in the future session, if you are interested. But till then, you can continue practicing. It's time for answering all the questions. Any questions that we are looking at? Great. So I think we have a list of questions available to us. How to draw corona? How to draw corona? So right. So how to make Earth and make it revolve? That's a good question. Earth, you can simply use the simplest thing you can do is just use a round sprite and rotate it and animate it so you can make it revolve. I hope that answers you. Nitish is asking how to draw corona. So let's take a look at this, right? Let me try and share my screen again. And we may just be a bit creative out over here. Let me say share screen. Let me go back here. Do you see this sun over here? If you see the sun over here, and you probably just draw some smaller circles at the end of it, right? Of all the sun rays, it may end up looking like a corona. So probably that should answer your question. I want to know how to do bottle by coding. That's an interesting thing. Bottle may look just like a house, right? Just draw the base. We have seen how to do rounded edges yesterday. You can draw this whole rectangle, then another small rectangle on top. That will look like a bottle. Muskan is asking, I'm having a problem when I try to do the square. It is not becoming like a square. Instead of that, it's scribbling all over the page. I kept the block like how you did. There was no mistake. Are you? I'm not yet saying it. Maybe what you could best do is you could share your code with your teacher. Your teacher will then forward it to us, and we'll get to see it better. Right now, I do not know what's happening. I'll need to look at your code. Darshil is asking how to write COVID care message. Darshil, this is a wider topic and we actually have a session planned for it. So watch out. Until then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and tell your friends also to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Nitish Patil, sir, please talk in Konkani. Nishant. निशांत काल कोंकणीन उलोवपाची ट्राय केल्ली आमकां फीडबॅक आयिल्लो इंग्लिशीन उलय म्हणून so maybe we'll do this same session again in Konkani some other time. Sir, can you make a colored square with 4 different colored lines? Yes. Why not? Every time just change the color of a pen and it will make a colored square with 4 different lines. How can we make a human sketch in Scratch? Okay. Tongue twister. So Prashant, we had already seen how to make a human drawing, right? You can make different parts as different sprites and you can use code to put them together. Siona is saying how to talk to you. So that's, I think, probably ask Saish sir on, or your teacher, how you can be brought here, and then we can have a discussion on you and maybe in one of the live webinar. Radha is asking, how do you draw coronavirus and a vaccine? Okay, so this will be shown in the further session. And possibly it's, I think, session for tomorrow, right? Yes. So like, share and subscribe and come back to this same channel tomorrow. Anushka is saying how to draw a heart. Okay. The heart is in biology or heart is in, the way we know it. How to draw an oval, how to fill color in shapes. 3 questions in one. Okay. How to draw a heart. Well, if you have seen how to draw a circle, right? We'll talk about drawing a circle later, but there is also a video on how to draw a circle. It's available in the channel. Maybe you can put a link in the description later. So if you can draw a circle, you can also draw half of it, right? So we are just very short on time right now, but just imagine 2 semicircles next to each other and then 2 lines joining at a common point, and that makes it a heart. How to draw an oval? Drawing an oval is slightly difficult with the code. I'll not say that difficult, but probably it will take me another session to talk about it. If you just want to use an oval in your thing, you can just use the sprite editor and draw the oval. How to fill color in shapes in Scratch and Pictoblocks. It's a bit tricky to fill the shapes in color. You can do it for a regular shape, like if you're drawing a circle or a square, you can start drawing them from the center and make them bigger, and end up filling it just like we filled a circle here. But as you will move in the further further standards, we will see how to do that. But yes, it's tricky in Scratch. Sir, can we make 2 houses on one project? I just did. I made 3, so I give you 1 in bonus. Shruti is asking, can we make 2 sprites work at the same time? Yes, Shruti, all the sprites run in parallel, so you can actually make them run together. But if you're using erase all, make sure that erase all affects everything, right? So you need to get some coordination there. Tulesh is asking how to fill different colors in the shapes. Just change the pen colors. Radhika is asking how to get graph paper. It's a graph paper and a protector, right? Asmi is saying the competition topic is COVID-19 using shapes. So what we have to do using shapes, I don't understand. Please explain. Okay. So Asmi, we just give certain ideas. Obviously, we cannot share, but there is a future topic. But essentially, you can draw your poster, and we'll see that in the upcoming session on a graph paper, and then implement it just like what we did with houses. And we just talked about a creative way of drawing a corona also. We just drew a sun here. You draw a sun, and that sort of looks like a corona if you want. Uttam is asking, sir, can we take double screen in Pictoblocks or Scratch? I don't understand what you mean by double screen. Sorry. Maybe you can send a detailed message later to your teacher, and we'll answer that. All right. So it's almost a time now. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us again today. Hope we added some value to your creative mind in whatever we did today. Please relook at the session. We looked at how we draw some different shapes together using a graph paper, and we also drew a sun. You can use that to draw a corona, as we had discussed before. And while we are at it, before we end for today, obviously there will be a trailer which will get played. Do watch the trailer before you leave. And while at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If as you are on the channel and if you're watching this video, just hit the button, and thank you for all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nidhi Atmaram Pokhre.
Hi, my name is Kaushiki Nagaraj Prabhu Varkar.
My name is Aditya Suresh Param.
I enjoy coding because it is very interesting subject.
I like coding very much because it is very, very interesting.
We are being taught coding at Hunsanani High School by teacher Sampada Lekar. Her explanation helps me understand the concepts really.
I use both the applications Scratch and Pictoblocks. Presently, I am learning from internet about COVID care for my project.
I want to know how these websites, softwares and apps work. That inspires me to learn coding and to create my own project.
I have made a slogan for coding, which is create like me, create like us, create like a child.
My slogan. Each one code one. Give me a problem, I will code to solve it.
As I participated in Lenten competition, but I have not won prize. So this time I want to know what is the correct practice to write a code.
Please like, share and subscribe. Hi, my name is Nidhi Atmaram Pokhre.
Hi, my name is Kaushiki Nagaraj Prabhu Varkar.
My name is Aditya Suresh Param.
I enjoy coding because it is very interesting subject.
I like coding very much because it is very, very interesting.
We are being taught coding at Hunsanani High School by teacher Sampada Lekar. Her explanation helps me understand the concepts clearly.
I use both the applications Scratch and Pictoblocks. Presently, I am learning from internet about COVID CAD for my project.
I want to know how these websites, softwares, and apps work. That inspires me to learn coding and to create my own project.
I have made a slogan for coding, which is create like me, create like us, create like a child.
My slogan. Each one code one. Give me a problem, I will code to solve it.
As I participated in Lenten competition, but I have not won prize. So this time I want to know what is the correct practice to write a code.
Please like, share and subscribe to the channel.